Hey everyone, this is Chris Griffeo and
Jeff Peterson.
Here with Njord Outdoor, another Fireside talk. Today we wanted to chat with you guys about why Njord Outdoor, and it's a little abnormal, so we wanted to explain it a little bit and explain our origins for that, the name.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take that away. Skull, sir. So Njord is a Norse god. He is the Norse god of the sea, fishing, travel, wealth. Mm-hmm. There actually used to be a common expression as wealthy as Njord because of how wealthy he was, which makes sense for a seafaring, trading, fishing culture, that the rich dude would be the dude that does all three of those things. So why Njord Outdoor, though? So let's step back and just explain a little bit about Norse mythology. We won't get real deep here, but the fundamental thing that I take away from Norse mythology, as opposed to other mythologies of the Greeks or the Romans or whatever have you, we're kind of a negative mythology. I mean, you look at the Greeks or the Romans, their whole point was to go to their heaven, and they were going to live out this great existence. Their gods were perfect and immortal. They couldn't die. Yeah, they might have been scheming. They might have done some sketchy stuff. But
religion still is like that.
Yeah, it still is. So the Norse mythology, a little different, living in a cold, rough and tumble kind of place. The best thing that you could hope for was to die in battle, to get taken to Valhalla or to one of the other gods' halls, and to spend the rest of your days fighting, drinking, and training. So
generally being a badass.
General badassery. So that ultimately, when the end of days comes, when Ragnarok comes and everybody dies, including the gods, you would get the opportunity to fight with them and ultimately lose again.
Right.
Like their whole point was that you couldn't be a hero and you couldn't do anything brave unless you were going to die. If a hero never died, he was never a hero because he didn't do anything cool enough to get killed.
Mm-hmm. So that follows true with like all of the Norse mythology that I've ever read. Especially with like Fenrir and all that. I mean,
right, and how
crazy.
Baldur lost his hand and all that stuff. So Njord, why Njord specifically? Njord, he's got some really cool legends. One of my favorites being he was one of the gods, one of the Vanir who lived with the Aesir, and there was a giantess named Skadi who was coming to petition the gods because her father had been killed. And as part of her retribution, payback, her little deal she struck with them to call it good, she was promised to pick any of the gods that she wanted to marry, to be her husband. Mm-hmm. But the gods, being who they were pretty clever, they decided to erect a sheet, and all she was going to be able to see to pick the god were the feet of the gods. Mm-hmm. Now there is a famous god named Baldur, who is known to be the most beautiful of the gods, very fair, and there's a whole bunch of other legends that go into him. But she thought she was going to be picking Baldur, so she's looking for this dude with some hot feet. Well, she's looking down the line, and there's a guy who's got just some choice feet, and apparently this was the origin of foot fetishes, but that's another story. She picks this fella. Lo and behold, it is the comely, to put it nicely, fisherman Njord, and she ends up marrying this fellow. Well, Njord and Skadi had a kind of tumultuous relationship. She hated the ocean where he lived. He lived down in his hall, was down by the ocean where they kept the ships. Her hall, because Skadi is actually the goddess of hunting and skiing, the female version, there was a hunting god named Ullr, mm-hmm. Who was the male hunting god, but the female one was Skadi, and her home was up in the mountains, the snowy mountains, and Njord could not handle that. He was a sea level kind of guy. I think he just got winded. He might have been a little husky like
us.
Yeah, a little husky.
On the valley floor.
So yeah, they would live half the year in one, half the year in the other, and ultimately their relationship didn't really pan out, but I always think that's an excellent legend. So Norse mythology really speaks to me. I have a ton of ancestry. I've got the blonde hair, red beard thing going on. I've got a bunch of the Elder Fulthark runes on my forearm. Chris also hails from a northern Germanic area in Europe. So we have a lot of Viking roots, but really the Njord thing is really a reminder about our ethos. We go hard, we're not done until we're done. We die in the fight. That was the fight we wanted to have. So that was the reason why we stuck to this. And conveniently enough, didn't know this guy at the time, but Njord, super uncommon name, URLs and YouTube channels were available. So that may or may not have played into it just a skosh. But yeah, so we go hard, we train hard, we fight hard,
We play hard.
we drink hard, and I think that's pretty much what it means to be a modern day Viking. And have great beards. The Council of Beards will always stand.
I got a little work to do, but we're getting there.
We're getting them there. We're throwing away his clippers. We're going to make it happen. So, if you have any questions about Norse mythology, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, just a bit of an enthusiast. Throw them down below. Subscribe if you want to see more stuff. Follow us on Instagram at Njord Outdoor. We do a bunch of fun stuff. We did a little bit of pagan rituals for our last hunt to try to make it a little more successful.
Yep, didn't work out.
That didn't pan out, but that has nothing to do with the gods. That is entirely us. They did their best. We just sucked that bad. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe, and look forward to doing more stuff like this in the future. Shoot straight. Skull.